Time, ladies and gentlemen, for our second and final series of the evening here in HGC Korea. My name is Wolf. With me is G-Clef, my partner in crime. And what we saw last series might have been a crime we witnessed, but at least we reported it to the proper fans that were watching.
It was a mass occur. Yes. Well,
God, we're not funny, G-Clef. I'm like, thank God we're not comedians, man. Oh, man.
thank God we're in Korea for now.
Yeah, whoa.
If we're in NA, I think we can be a lot more funny.
Yeah?
And always.
Always?
In every single way.
Why?
From what? From, I can't say it because we're live.
All right, G-Clef.
Okay, that was not funny enough.
I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't get it, but I know your last name is NA,
Yes,
so
that's
maybe
funny.
that's what you meant if you were in NA, yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
but what's not funny is Miracle. Well, before that. Actually, you guys can actually enjoy this in English now if you just fiddle around. I heard there's a button that you can change the stream into English, so you don't have to
below
have
the
that
chat
on
room.
and us at the same time.
Yeah, below the chat room, apparently there's a button that says KR, and there's one that says EN. Click the EN one.
Yes, EN for English.
I haven't been able to see it yet because, like you said, we were casting the whole time while this is happening. I've just seen pictures of it, and it looks pretty cool. And I know what it does, so that's why we're telling you guys about it. But yeah, go and hit that EN button, and then you can hear us.
We'll never know what it's like, because I went there yesterday night after, and then it's like a TV. It's like the gray screen. Psst,
Yeah.
it's not on.
Just some white noise for you.
I will never know. I will never know what they're doing, how to click, or what.
Someone record it and send it to us and tell us how awesome it is.
Yes, please.
So we're going to our second series. I know you were trying to get into this. We're going into revamped Miracle, no longer MVP Miracle, but just Miracle versus BlossoM. So let's take a look at Miracle first. You'll notice H82 is on this roster. Crazy Moving is gone. I have Gunza, the former League of Legends player, was actually originally on CJ Entis and briefly played for Samsung Ozone team. So it's a lot of competitive background for this player. Never actually won any titles on those teams, but played through seasons of LoL Champions and built a name for himself. So he's quite well known in Korea. Moving into Heroes of the Storm now, coming into this roster as an assassin player. We'll see how well he does with it.
Well, Gunza, of course, the new one. Basically, think of it as he's replacing Crazy Moving as the main DPS for the team, and Judy has suffered from his hero pool a little bit, and a little bit too much at the end of last year, but I'm pretty sure he has enlarged his hero pool. Stitches is basically gone from the meta right now, and it's really hard, so he has to really work on all the Nubarak, the new ones with the ETC. He had shown some great ETC, but still he made lots of mistakes in the front line, and that's what cost his Miracle a lot back in the days. But now with this new roster, they had some time to practice. Of course, they lost their scrim partner, Lack. I'm pretty sure they're still good friends, lots of scrims, but still, they need to climb up because this match is probably one of the most important match of the season here.
Yeah, no doubt that they do scrim with KSV Black sometimes, but lost their sponsor due to the it's illegal to have sister teams in HGC, and since KSV took over, no longer grandfathered in. So talking about BlossoM here, obviously you'll notice this roster is the same. Modern showing up on our overlay, but I think he's still going by the ID Mora, formerly known as Modern Life. Dudu, the assassin, Nasong, the support, and of course Gondar, the new player from Split 2 of last year, coming in as main tank, with Wiz being the top laner, who's the shot caller as well. So very strong team that really came into their own towards the end of 2017 and also really improved their drafting and showed us a lot of really unique different styles. So if you're expecting to see maybe some different play styles like what we saw from Tempest yesterday, this is the team to look out for.
Yeah, I also want to stress Gondar, who has been doing lots of stitches, and also Garrosh, who has been reworked a little bit with his Q. So it's not the same, so he has to really enlarge his hero pool. I want to... Oh, exactly what they're going to do. I did not know about this, but this is what I wanted to talk about. The front line changes, the meta shifting, and are they ready for this new meta? Are they ready for all this Anubarak, ETC, Muradin? Of course, they're very solid. They played a lot, but in the different meta where they are actually getting all that damage from all that poke from Hanzo, Genji all the time, hopefully they're ready, and this war right now between the front line, I think this will decide the entire thing.
Yeah, this is obviously going to be a huge point of contention. Gondar shows some great Anubarak play. Judy, on the other hand, not so much. So I feel like if you're Miracle, you've wanted to, going into this matchup, improve Judy's Anubarak play or you want to try to ban it outright if it doesn't get picked up in the early rotation. So I think that's a plan that should be executed and something that we'll absolutely be talking about throughout this series. As Judy showed off a lot of great Stitches play, as you were mentioning. So same with Gondar, but just in general, compared to other tanks of the same level, he was not up to par. In fact, so much so that Crazy Moving took over his role at the end of the season last year. Wasn't enough to get them to BlizzCon, but here we go. First map, first time we're going to be seeing Infernal Shrines tonight. It is going to be a ban on BOE and a ban on Braxis. So, Volskaya will potentially be available in the series, and I wouldn't put it past BlossoM to pick it.
Volskaya is open for the first time in Korea. And maybe because we have BlossoM, when we always talk about the unexpected, the upsets, it was always BlossoM here.
Yeah.
And maybe they're ready for that. But first one, we're going into Infernal Shrines, and we did see. Yeah, that is confirmed.
Yeah, we
again by the production.
For some reason, someone
why.
confirmed it was Infernal Shrines, but yeah, it is Infernal Shrines. Maybe the Korean commentators weren't sure because the Immortal's chin got cut off, and he's way less recognizable without his chin. So
that is the only one we see every other map, though.
All right, so.
Oh, maybe because it's in English. They're like, oh, what is Inferno? What is Shrines?
Ah, could be. But there was no language up there at all. It was just the picture only, man. Just
it says pick. What is pick?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not too hard. But...
Not too hard. But I mean, the Immortal's chin was cut off. Let's wash it up to that. So BlossoM will have
Even
first.
Punisher. Even you're trolled.
Oh my God. All right. Look.
Oh man.
BlossoM has first ban. Let's bring this a little bit more seriously back to Cliff. Let's get into the swing of things. It's going to be their first draft now. Some contemplation going in here, perhaps surprised by the map pick, as you mentioned. You know, rarer map pick. Second time we're seeing it this season, if I'm not mistaken. So Hanzo will be the ban they go with eventually. Definitely considering some other options. Let's see how Miracle responds. Remember, Jaehyun's support pool pretty wide, but not as wide as Nasong's. And we're looking at Miracle. One of the weaknesses of this team throughout the end of 2017, not so much the beginning, was their hero pools. Jaehyun having a very weak hero pool compared to other supports. Later on, leveling that up. He was obviously a great Malfurion player, especially during Malfurion's rise to popularity in 2017. He did well there. But towards the end, when Malfurion fell off and double support started to become a thing, you need to be able to play multiple supports. He could not keep up there. Then we look at Judy, right? Fantastic Stitches player, but pretty mediocre ETC. Had some good plays from him on the ETC, but mostly not so much. Johanna out of the picture for him. Muradin, again, mediocre compared to players like Gondar. So those are the heroes to watch out for. Crazy Moving, inconsistent, but at least had a large hero pool in terms of ranged assassins. He's no longer on the squad. What they've brought to the table here, what they've lost in Dami, I think they've gained even more so in H82 in terms of the soul lane. So I think that should be the focus. H82's got an incredible hero pool. He has the ability to play Artanis, for example, even, which he probably won't, but I'm just saying that's an example of an unusual hero that H82 would pick. So looking at what Miracle, I think, should try to focus on, it's going to be that soul lane.
Oh, but they're still picking up Garrosh. I think there's either they're thinking of something creative and new here, which also works in Infernal Shrine. This is not the worst pick, of course, but Garrosh is very... He doesn't have an escape. He does have armor, which provides his escape, sort of. But if he gets stuck, if he gets pulled in or tossed over or stuck in a cocoon sometimes, he can also melt by % damage or any type of heavy burst damage.
Yeah.
So that's why we don't see Garrosh as much, even especially after the Q change.
Yeah, it's a lot tougher to combo. You just get the mini stun from the Q now, and you don't actually get that toss out of your Q by default. So BlossoMs are going to go move into meta picks here, right? Like, Genji has been pretty meta throughout this tournament, but mostly been banned. Garrosh, a little bit less likely. I think this is a Judy hero pool thing we're talking about again. And Sonya, I've already tried to grab a strong solo laner. They've got one of the best and most well-rounded DPSs in the game, and Uther for protection for both. So BlossoM has a well-rounded draft, not trying to reinvent the wheel here, as they have oftentimes in the past. Most would consider BlossoM coming to the series as the favorite, so maybe this isn't the series where they try to show us something flashy. They just want to play standard and play safe. And it's a tough ban for Miracle because BlossoM's draft doesn't push itself one way or the other.
If you just want to go for Lucio Dubarak, if you know that BlossoM is ready for a Nubarak, then just go ahead and ban. I think that's the best idea because you're likely going to have the solo. I think the reason why Nubarak's winning so much right now is because of the solo support. If you just lock that, single support with the Cocoon, they can't have heal, they can't have protection for that time being. Nubarak's going to rise up so much more.
I completely agree.
In this meta.
Lucio ban now, limiting the choices here for Miracle. Obviously, Rhaegar, a very strong support for Garrosh, still available. But nothing that grants protection for Genji in terms of invulnerability, no Divine Shield availability. Now, a possibility here would be locking in the Tyrael. We've seen double tank comps before with the Malthael, but I think avoiding that is your best bet. Have very limited success rates so far. Looking towards a Rhaegar into a secondary DPS that can get more out of the Ancestral and more out of Rhaegar's support, I think would be the better option here. Save the solo pick for last. Trying to go into Malthael to destroy the top lane is going to be a risky proposition in this case, because drafting into a Tyrael just costs too much for you. You get a second tank, but you've limited yourself to one range DPS.
Depending on Gunja's hero pool, whereas he wants to choose a DPS, just leave that for last because there's already a Sonya. You can kind of adjust to it. I guess they have decided Malfuria. Maybe they're thinking of a double support here, flexing in, because they will not really win the burst fight here, as Sonya Greymane is already picked up on the other side, along with the burst heal Uther.
Well, with no burst damage on the side of BlossoM, Malfuria's slow, sustained healing, especially with his rework, is going to be still fantastic here. And remember, it's Jaehyun's best hero, so again, we're already seeing glaring pieces of those limited hero pools we talked about at the beginning of this series. And as we go into this first draft, there are some glaring problems with Miracle's decision-making here. Look at BlossoM. The Nubarak ban is strong just simply because he's a meta hero right now, but it's so tough to even ban a Miracle's case for the second ban because there's no holes in what BlossoM has drafted. All the cards are on their side of the table. They can easily decide to draft now a second support to make Greymane more of a carry-based hero. They can draft into a second DPS that's strong away player to control that, to control the shrines. The tank choice is obviously going to be very easy for them as well. They can grab either the Medivh, or sorry, not Medivh, the ETC or the Murid. And Medivh was one I did not expect, but Portal ETC is very scary indeed. But this will be the second Medivh of the night. And it's a very melee-focused comp again for Miracle. I think they have to get a second range DPS here. They cannot run Genji alone with a second support.
In this case, with the ley line, they're trying to isolate the team with the ley line, trying to put them in stasis instead of just like a Nubarak in a way. They're trying to make the team fight in favor of them for a few seconds at least, because they have the burst and they have lots of CCs to lock one target down. I think that's the idea why they brought the Medivh. Also can protect their targets when they dive in, because Uther's healing may not be enough for multiple targets. It's a good idea, but can they make it work in Infernal Shrines? There may be a mage coming out and even secondary support. I think they're definitely thinking of that.
I would love to see Gul'dan here. As long as they feel like they can peel well with Arthas. A Gul'dan's so strong on this map, does very well against Medivh shielding. Or just a Tychus. Tychus so solid in this meta. Junkrat, the problem with Junkrat here is that his burst will often be mitigated by Medivh. However, he does provide a lot of extra CC. He can ruin, with his Concussive Mind, if used correctly, portals. He can place it at the edge of the portal, so players can't actually get back into the portal without being knocked away. So, limits the usefulness of portal. In fact, can make the portal into a death trap. So in terms of CC, I like the Junkrat pick because of the Concussive Mind. But in terms of the damage he provides, I think that a lot of that's going to be mitigated by the Medivh. See if he wants to run the Rip Tire. It's all we've seen so far in HGC Korea. These two drafts, though, if you compare them, I feel like the safer draft is on BlossoM's side, and it's also the more meta draft.
And Miracle, I think they kind of locked themselves in their own hero pool a little bit, not too much. But still, this can work out if Junkrat makes some super plays and lots of pokes and the sustain from their front line. I think that's the key here, as they will be bursted down. Even Garrosh may not have all that armor, but that poison spear lands on his face.
The battle begins in
Yeah,
10 seconds.
I think this chaining together of CCs for BlossoM is going to be a big key, right? Like, you've got Spear into Power Slide into Uther's Hammer of Justice, then that target might just simply be dead because of all the pokes that have gone on from Medivh himself.
Of course, this is the changed. Now, no burst heal at all.
That's right.
And also Tranquility, I think there is a chance of taking that too from Jaehyun. Because they do need sustained healing when it comes to time.
Yeah. Twilight Dream can be very useful against potential mosh pits and Sonya Dive. And kind of against Medivh too, I guess you could argue. But yeah, I think there's certainly an argument to be made for Tranquility. Haven't seen it yet, but let's wait and see. The Medivh is really interesting to me because in this map specifically, it doesn't really feel like a map where it's absolutely necessary. Because the poke, it can help you if you can hit heroes consistently on the objective, but it's not going to delay any channeling, which is normally when Medivh is used in comps that don't require him. He can make Sonya stronger and can allow her to absorb a lot of damage, mitigate the Junkrat damage I was talking about, but it's not a must-pick Medivh, and I don't think it's as strong as the Medivh pick we saw from Ballistics earlier, but it's still pretty intelligent.
Oh, they didn't take the globe. Maybe Malfurion did right after. Please take the globe, guys.
Never leave the globes, man.
Makes me uncomfortable.
It makes me sick to my stomach when I see a globe left. It's like, you know, it's the same thing. Remember when people buy, like, the guy waits in line to buy a PlayStation on opening day, then just smash it? And I'm like, no!
Or you buy the iPhone and you do the iPhone drop test.
Yeah.
Then you just destroy it.
It's like, why would you just leave that there? Like, why would you ruin this beautiful thing that was given to you? The globe, take it, heal yourself, get more mana. Get your teammates who have globe talents, their globes.
Of course, it heals less than before with Blaze patch.
That's right.
Since the globe goes neutral, and we'll try to. Judy will try to do those kind of flashy moves, but Gondor has to be careful, even if he's an ETC. But Power Slide may not be enough if it's tossed over the wall. I think he may end up choosing Crowd Surfer at 4.
I think that's a pretty reasonable choice on this map because of all the vents and the ways that you can kind of hide through the wall. Look, I mean, I think there's an argument for it. He doesn't take it, but there's a lot of different choke points, as you can see, like to the left of this camp, right, where ETC can actually invade or escape from on this map. I think this is the best map for it. Crystal a close second. But yeah, he's not going to take it. Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, whether he takes it or not. Pretty close game, closest of the night by a million miles, obviously, with our very one-sided series that we had at the beginning. You can see the long sustained healing of Malfurion here coming through from Jaehyun. You see the effect that it can make on, you know, Greymane in this case fighting Mercs, not actually taking burst damage. Shrine control will go to BlossoM. They have one of the best solo Shriners in the game with Sonya. Arthas not in position just yet. Here comes the big rotation down from Miracle. Gondar has spotted this. No one's going to stay in the solo lane. It's going to be a 5v5 brawl down here from these two.
Also, Holy Fire from Uther seems like they will also really want to take down the wave clear and also take some numbers by going in and doing that fire damage in the shrine.
Okay, Toss comes in onto Wiz, but he is protected, by the way, and is just going to whirlwind his way out. Gondar in great position to try to knock H82 out of position. Does not occur. This is a very slow fight we're watching. Looks like we're watching double support, but we're not. But look at Jaehyun, how much healing he can do. Root just barely avoided there by Nasang. And with the extra damage from Holy Fire, all the poke from Medivh, and the cooldown reduction you got from that, they're just able to, plus the cocktail damage, I suppose, win the race.
I may be saying this too early, but with that protection, I think it is just enough for them to escape every single time when they're caught. They have been not taking damage as much. The protection timing was great coming out every single time from Medivh. And with that, Wiz was able to survive and sustain for such a long time. Of course, he's a Sonya too.
Yep, he did come back to lane late. We had Arthas go up there first after they realized they lost the Punisher to push that in to at least gain a little bit of damage to that top fort wall, as well as to gain some extra experience. BlossoM still with that will gain the lead though, as we're just seeing Leyline, not Leyline, sorry, the Master's Touch stacks coming through over and over and over again from these Arcane Rifts, just queuing left and right. And that we're post 7, that's something to keep track of. Full cocktail build from Greymane. Just solo support. It's what we've been seeing pretty much all night. might have seen something different yesterday from Damian Tempest, but Greymane was banned away from him specifically by KSV Black. And lane's now controlled for BlossoM. In fact, a late rotation from Arthas down mid means that Sonya controls the top lane, can now command pressure. And Miracle is losing every lane, and they're even having these late camps. Modern scouts this, look at where everyone's coming, the rotation comes through. One of the other powers of Medivh that we don't even always talk about is how you can invade. Good mind, though. That was really well placed.
Do not steal the camp.
Yeah, all thanks to Gunza's mine right there. Knocked them away.
To knock them away. Actually, Malfurion does not take the cleanse. We'll go for extra heals, as Jaehyun will try to extend that regrowth every second.
Yeah. Really good for, why am I mind blanking on this? Garrosh, because of his armor. So he will go down to almost dead, and we'll just keep getting those regrowths to kind of heal while he has armor. Very good synergy with the trait of Garrosh.
It will be originally 20 seconds, but plus one second every single time he hits the target.
That's going to become very powerful in longer fights.
Maybe he doesn't think that Nature's Cure is needed, even with ETC on the side. The Power Slide will be a crazy threat in the mosh pit when it comes to like Malfurion himself and also Junkrat and Garrosh too.
Well, when your soul laner is a tank like Arthas and you have a strong frontliner like Garrosh who gets that armor bonus, it feels like it's almost too good to give up, even though it is somewhat risky. They're playing the greedier play where they get maybe maximum value in those long fights. But yeah, there might be some moments that will commentate coming up where it would have been nice to have that cleanse. So 10's up for BlossoM. Already the favorable position here on this shrine. Going to use Gondar to zone with Modern. They have vision control to clear this camp as quickly as possible while they have the top lane pushed. So they're going to have that extra pressure. Miracle will not have that, by the way. They will have 10, but the lane pressure is going to be amazing for them the longer this goes on.
It is not the worst as Medivh is going down, so they do have some time right now to work on their numbers. Picking up here early, tossing Gondar to the side with Judy just staying in front. For now, it's okay, I would say, but pick in order with the numbers. Medivh is now here. They can dive in. They will get protected.
Okay, quest completes here for Judy.
There's toss. There's a big taunt, but the Twilight is actually cancelled.
Yeah, Mosh Pit here going to connect right after Leyline Seal is over. Genji trying to do that burst damage, just not enough though. Disjointed fight here, cut totally in half by Leyline Mosh Pit. Great Divine Shield coming through here, and BlossoM wipes them out. It's going to be 3 kills there. Easily will gain control of the shrine, and immediately Miracle splits off Gunza to the bot lane. Genji going to be in the top lane to try to deal with that pressure that's been going this entire time, by the way. They lost the shrine. They're going to lose some health on this fort, a significant amount of it, in fact. Punisher's heading mid, and it just feels like win more for BlossoM here. There's really nothing going well on the side of Miracle with this comp they've chosen.
What a nice way, and of course it's a small amount of time to work it, but we heard the sound of Twilight, but it never went off. It was on cooldown. I think ETC's Power Slide and connecting with the Mosh Pit might have cancelled it. And if it went off though, no Mosh Pit, no CC's connecting, and they will be silenced. I think they had a moment of turning it around if it landed on all of them. A nice play by Gondar.
Yeah, this is an Arcane Punisher, so you can see how much damage is done and how much extra pushing power it has. Makes the melee frontline of Miracle very difficult to advance. You know, the Arthas and Garrosh taking so much extra damage while trying to peel here, so gives BlossoM that level 13 advantage now. Miracle having vision control of mid right now knows they can finally take their camp, but while doing so, because Medivh scouts this, they know, BlossoM knows they're safe to do this. In fact, could even dive Judy if he wants to get aggressive, because they see with Medivh in the top part of the map that Merc camp is being taken. So a second fort goes down, top fort already damaged. With the shrine announced bottom, BlossoM can now continue to just avoid fights using Medivh's mobility. And they're just going to go ahead and continue to Merc. I believe their camp will be coming up at about a minute and a half.
Because they have the lead. They have the lead, they have the rotational work, and Miracle still need to get some experience. That was always the problem for Miracle. They were they're okay at the beginning, but as the time goes on, they're always slower in shot calls. They lose a team fight. They keep on losing, and they don't know how to finish the game.
Yeah.
It seems like they still not have really fixed their problem or found an answer against it.
Remember too that this camp timing up at the top that was finally just dealt with, there was nobody to deal with it, but unfortunately it was not there for very long because there's no objective. The timing of BlossoM's camp with the objective was so much more effective that Miracle, yeah, they soaked experience like you were saying, they got the camp because they had a moment of reprieve where they could grab it, but it wasn't meaningful because there was no objective to pull BlossoM away from the camp, so they basically just sent members up to clear it right away, and it was super easy to do so. Garrosh is being followed like a hawk here by Modern Life. Actually, it looks like he's completely changed his name to Modern now. Was Mora earlier, but on our official profiles, but now he's Modern, I guess.
And on our sheet, he's Modem without the R.
Let's just call him Modern Life, I guess, so, since that's a name everyone knows. But he's been following and watching like a hawk where the main force of Miracle is, where they're rotating, so there's no secrets with this marauding composition.
Yeah, before with Garrosh, even if you're a little bit away from him, you get pulled in and you get tossed over, but now you don't get pulled in. That's the biggest change, and since that change, Garrosh has been going straight down in the win rate, and even Hero League and everywhere else.
Yeah, you have to get so close. You have to basically be melee range to get that toss. If you get the stun, sometimes you can get it, but as you can see here, in this case, he couldn't even get it. Shrine activating, it was announced earlier to be bottom. The cocktail build is completed now. It's going to make it even easier for BlossoM. They have so much poke with the cocktails and Medivh's arcane rifts coming through. If he gets his Q cooldown reset from hitting heroes, he's getting closer and closer to getting that Master's Touch. Looks like Miracle was considering just trying to push top fort and giving this up because they're going to be down a talent here, but they've changed their minds. Taking the later rotation, scouted by Modern.
They
Using his level 4.
They do have to go in. They have the team fighting potential team cop here as they want to fight. Sonya is protected first of all and going all in with doing all the damage. Judy takes the burst damage. Is he going to go down with the power slide? He does, and that's front line gone for Miracle.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate. The second part of their front line will go down soon. The Wayline Seal does totally whiff, but it doesn't look like it's going to matter. Sniper trying to do what he can here with the Dragon Blade, but he's alone. There's just not enough damage here.
Malfi just flew off the map.
Yeah, see you later, Jaehyun. Died doing what he loved best, playing Malfurion.
Maybe I was expecting more, but Garrosh seems like he's not really making any play in the front line.
Well,
even Arthur is just sustaining, taking damage. That's it.
I mean, he gives you some CCs, but there's not enough follow-up damage because the burst coming through from Dragon Blade and the burst damage coming from Junkrat are just mitigated by the protection coming out from Medivh. Okay, look, again, he goes over the wall. Medivh's coming over. In fact, he doesn't even take that much damage in this case because everyone hadn't respawned, but he would have just easily been protected if anyone was there. Punisher on this keep now might actually lead to a victory if they lose any members. They still don't have 16 yet. And Junkrat's just not doing enough damage here. Genji can only poke. There's no protection for Genji going into the fight. I think this was a failed draft by Miracle.
Others looking for that mosh pit potential on. Garrosh dies again without doing much. Only throws Garrosh. ETC over to the side. There's a Riptire. Does some damage, but really not close to getting any kills. They can't really make this change.
Divine Shield here onto Wiz, which will heal him up just enough to hit this core. They get the kill here onto Gunza as he's caught by Gondar's power slide. That's going to be game number 1. Heading over to BlossoM here in spectacular fashion. 9 kills to 0, 6 forts to 0 as well. And that G-Clef will be our first perfect game of the HGC Korea season.
Well, they're incredible, and more. Oh, I keep on saying Mora, but Modern now, Modern Life. On Medivh, he was actually very safe, protected every single time. Sonya, I bet there was a calling, I'm going in. Then there was an instant protection, so he takes less damage. So that's how they could sustain against. The Malfurion sustain, of course, did not help Garrosh so much when there was a burst heal. It seems like he takes so much less damage, but if he takes burst damage, he's really weak against something like Li Ming, where he gets all the Q damage and the orb. The burst damage is actually a good counter against Garrosh. That's why Judy couldn't really do anything in that front line. He was only tossing over ETC several times. That was basically it, and Arthas was just standing on the side.
When we talk about tank top laners like Arthas, you know, look at what he can accomplish as a frontliner, when you have a secondary tank like the Garrosh and you have that sustained healing, normally what comes with that is a very strong backline DPS.
That's
Genji,
right.
in this case, not really serving that role. He's only throwing shurikens forward. There's no protection when he comes with the Dragon Blade. Who's going to keep him alive? Mostly ignored he was in those fights because of the protection coming out from Medivh. And then he couldn't really, he would swing once or twice, Sniper would. This is why I can't be here anymore. My healing's wearing off. I'm low on health, and I don't have a divine shield. I don't have any sanctification. I don't have any way to stick around in this fight. Doesn't have burst heals from Uther. Doesn't have ancestral, and he's just sitting there trying to find value against this comp that's so good at mitigating that burst while also poking so well because we got Medivh and the cocktails, which went up really quickly. It was a comp that I feel like conceptually was destined to fail. It was based on Judy's weak hero pool with the Garrosh pick,
That's right.
Jaehyun on the Malfurion, with a DPS of the Genji, which just simply doesn't synergize with those heroes. You could really feel something was missing.
Yeah, Malfurion 0-2 in Korea so far. The sustain is there, but the burst healing is way too slow. That's why Garrosh blew up all the time. And compare the front line. ETC alone on one hand, and Arthas plus Garrosh on the other side. But the 2 versus 1, but 2 was losing from all that poke, and ETC was actually creating so much space and the right timing with Medivh's protection to go in and power slide along with Sonya. I think the coordination and what they have practiced from BlossoM, it's so much greater and better, and worked out great in set number 1.
Gunja's Dunkrat wasn't bad, but it didn't
It was
work.
okay.
I would have rather liked a high attack speed hero that could do damage from afar, like, for example, Vala. Even a Li Ming, if you bait out the protection, you could do some extra burst damage, but Junkrat's damage is a little bit slow there. The concussive mines were fantastic in the early game, but very quickly BlossoM caught on, didn't use portals as much as they were before because they knew there was the potential of getting concussive mined right after exiting the portal, so they played around Gunja's Junkrat very well. And I don't want to judge Miracle too much on this game. We talk about their hero pools. I'm getting flashbacks of their hero pools from last season, but let's wait until they've played this series before we really judge what their drafting problems may be, because again, conceptually this draft seemed pretty alright, but BlossoM had the more standard draft and they played it better.
Yep.